The Volkswagen Group's electric car sales in Europe, they have maybe not crashed, but they've dropped drastically by 24% in the first 3 months of this year. But fortunately for Volkswagen, they've invested many billions of dollars into producing EVs in China, where their sales have grown by 90%. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to see you. We already know that Volkswagen Group, they've invested tens of billions in China. And they've essentially moved their software division from Germany to China. And that has solved a lot of their software problems because they purchased a software company in China who have been able to fix some of the EV software issues that the company have been having. Volkswagen have just announced an additional $2.7 billion they're going to spend in China, whilst they fired thousands of staff in Europe and in particular in Germany. Now, the CEO of Volkswagen said this would happen, Herbert Diess. He said we have to fire people here. He was trying to encourage the Volkswagen Group, which is very political, to move to making more EVs in Europe, to be able to stay alive. Now, he was fired for that, but what happened as a result of that is the Volkswagen Group actually moved a lot of their production to China. Now, we can see evidence of this in their actual sales. In Europe, decline in Volkswagen Group's EV sales was 24.3% in the first 3 months of this year. But in China, their EV sales grew by 90%. Still, the Volkswagen Group actually delivered 3.3% less electric cars in the first quarter of this year compared to what they delivered in the first quarter of 2023. Meaning, pretty disappointing for the company. Their EV sales, rather than going up as they should have, EV sales in Europe over the first 3 months of this year have gone up, but Volkswagen Groups have gone down significantly. But at least their EV sales, didn't totally crash, which they would have if they hadn't have sold more EVs in China. The Volkswagen Group, which includes Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, Skoda, Seat, Cupra, Bugatti, and other brands as well, they reported 2.1 million vehicle deliveries in the first quarter of 2024, which is growth of 3%. However, their EV sales fell by 3.3% amidst a pretty significant slowdown in deliveries in Europe. Now, I've been a bit confused, guys. I've been reporting on this. I've been sharing with you guys the top 10 best-selling EVs in France, in Germany, in Norway, in Sweden, and it seemed to me that Volkswagen's deliveries in those top 10 lists were generally low. And I was thinking, well, surely their EV sales haven't grown this year. Well, turns out that was right. They've fallen by nearly 24%. EVs accounted for 6.5% of Volkswagen's total car sales worldwide this year, 6.5%. That's down compared to 7% 1 year ago. Now, you would think it would have grown, because realistically, over the past year, even though the media are telling you kinds of all nonsense, the truth is EV sales have increased significantly worldwide. Volkswagen says, though, that it has a lot of orders. It just can't deliver on those orders. Volkswagen claim it now has 160,000 orders in Europe, which means it has a lot more pre-orders than it did a year ago. It's claiming it has 154% more orders this time in Europe versus, the same time in Europe last year. But yeah, like I said, the sales figures are showing, whatever the case is, whether that's orders are maybe not converting to actual sales or whether it's because production numbers have gone down. Volkswagen did actually stop manufacturing EVs at one of its production plants in Germany and decided to focus on just making EVs in one main factory. Volkswagen Group EV sales in Q1 worldwide were 136,400. Pretty surprisingly low. For example, Aon, a company that most people haven't even heard of, in China, they sold 150,000 EVs in the last 3 months of last year. That would mean that possibly Aon, might be selling more EVs worldwide by the end of this year versus the entire Volkswagen Group. For reference, in 2023, the group sold more than 771,000 electric vehicles worldwide. That was 35% more than in 2022. And that meant it hit an EV share of 8.3%. So Volkswagen have gone from 8.3% down to 6% in terms of its EV sales this year versus last year. Now, those numbers are surprising, and I think it really comes down to one thing. Volkswagen EV sales, EVs are just not really resonating with customers. One of the key reasons for this, apparently, in America, for example, where EV sales for Volkswagen Group have come down significantly as well, is that they've had a lot of software glitches. And there's been a fair few issues with the Volkswagen ID4 in the United States. Now, apparently those things have been evident in EVs made in Europe as well. These recent EV sales have been unquestionably disappointing, as the Volkswagen Group's growth was already lagging behind other automotive groups in 2022 and 2023. And clearly this year, the company is struggling. Unfortunately, if you compare the growth of, say, Tesla and BYD, even though Tesla didn't have a great quarter this year, Tesla and BYD are clearly growing faster in the EV segment than the Volkswagen Group are. Having a look at EV sales for Volkswagen in Europe, they are down 24.3%. US down 16%. But fortunately, China up 91%. So China is now making up about 30% of the Volkswagen Group's EV sales worldwide. In the first quarter, the Volkswagen Group sold 41,000 electric cars in China, but they do sell them very, very cheaply. On average, Volkswagen's EVs are 50% cheaper in China than anywhere else in the world. If the Volkswagen Group was able to sell the EVs that they sell in China at the same prices outside of China, I think their EV sales would be insane, but they're not able to at this point. Volkswagen Group EV sales by brand. The Volkswagen brand down 2.6% for the first quarter. The Audi brand up 3%. The Skoda brand up 12%. Volkswagen commercial vehicles up 29%. Seat Cupra brand vehicles down 24%. And that equaled a total of 136,400 vehicles. So comparing that to Tesla, Tesla delivered what was about 380 something thousand. So Tesla sold around 3 times as many EVs as the Volkswagen Group did for the first quarter of the year. Now, both their delivery numbers were disappointing. But I think we're going to see a bounce back from here on in. Now, here are the list of the most popular Volkswagen Group EVs in the first quarter. The ID4, 34,600. The ID3 second, 26,000. Third, the Q4 e-tron, 22,000. Fourth, the Skoda Enyaq, 14,000. Audi Q8 e-tron was next with 9,600. Volkswagen ID Buzz, that's the Combi, the van, that had 7,000 deliveries, followed by the Cupra Born with 6,900. The Porsche Taycan, 4,200. And all other models combined, 11,000. Now, I'm not surprised to see Volkswagen Group bounce back in China. They've been really focusing on investing huge amounts of money in China. They do have a collaboration with XPeng. They'll be making new EVs using XPeng's old EV platform, which could bring some really impressive electric cars, because I've spoken about XPeng's technology a few times and they are incredibly impressive. But either way, guys, these sales numbers for the Volkswagen Group, they are pretty disappointing, especially when you consider the context, which is a number of automotive group CEOs believe in 2026, EV sales will actually begin eating into internal combustion sales in a massive way. They're saying that is the year of massive disruption. And one of the experts saying this is the CEO of Audi. The CEO of Audi is saying 2026 is the year when we need to be making a lot more EVs, because that's when the big change happens worldwide. Now, I think it's going to happen faster than that. I think it's going to be next year. What do you think? Thanks for watching.